target D now, applications of volume. 1D.1 master learning objective is I can find the volume of three-dimensional shapes by identifying the base area and the height. So, first thing we need to remember is this should just be a review of area. If I have the area of a rectangle, area equals length times width. Okay. So my length is 15, my width is 6. I'm multiplying those together. 15 times 6 is 90 feet. And since this is a two-dimensional shape, it is squared. Right? So 90 feet squared. Looking at example 2, this is a circle. The area of a circle, if we remember, is pi r squared, where r represents your radius. My radius is 9 here, right, from the center out. So 9 squared is 81, and I keep the pi. Okay, so do not type pi into your calculator. Pi kind of acts like a variable, right? It just kind of comes down. Our last example for area, it's still a circle. However, now I'm doing this whole length across. Remember, that is the diameter. The diameter equals 12. But wait, I need the radius. Remember, from the middle out, right? So just this part, it's half of it. So then my radius is 6, right? It's just half the diameter. So when I plug that in, 6 squared is 36 pi centimeters squared. So that's just our review for area. Okay. Now, what we're really going to look at is volume. So the first thing we have is the volume of a rectangular prism. The volume of a rectangular prism is very similar to a rectangle. Volume equals length times width, then times the height. Okay, so it's just what the base is, right? That's a rectangle, and I'm like stacking a whole bunch of rectangles on top of each other, okay, until I get to the top. So length times width times height. If we look at an example, equals length times width times height. My length here is 24. My width is 20. And my height, how else can I do this? Is 10. So I'm doing 24 times 20 times 10. If I multiply all those numbers together, I get 4,800. The biggest thing to remember is now I'm in a three-dimensional object, so I have to have cubed as my unit instead of squared, which is for a two-dimensional object. Okay. All right, looking at a cylinder. Now, you have to be careful. Volume of a cylinder is volume equals pi r squared times height. So again, very similar. If you look, our rectangle is length times width. Our circle is pi r squared. All I'm doing to get the volume of these shapes is multiplying by the height. They're very similar in that way. Okay. With a cylinder, I have to be careful though, because it makes sense this way. I have my radius and the height going straight up and down. If I knock that cylinder over, my height hasn't changed. So my radius still comes from the circle, but now this is really my height. You can also call it pi r squared times length if you would like, if that helps you make sense of it. The way I like to think of it is my height is always, I have a circle here, I have a circle here, my height connects them. I have a circle here, I have a circle here, my height connects them. Okay, so be careful when that cylinder is knocked over. All right, let's look at then an example 5. So my volume equals pi r squared times height. My r, right, well this is my diameter. Cut it in half, I get 5 centimeters. So 5 squared times my height, right, is 12. Now for this, I can type everything in my calculator except the pi. So I'm doing 5 squared times 12. I get 300. 300, my pi comes down, and we're in centimeters, so again, this is centimeters cubed. All right, let's look at our next problem. Did I go too far? No. Okay. A few more shapes, 3 more shapes. The next thing we have is the volume of a pyramid. Okay. So a pyramid, again, has a rectangular base. It starts with a rectangle and then comes to a point. That's how it's different from a prism. Okay. The volume of a pyramid is very similar to that of a prism, except it's 1/3 times the length, the weird L, times width, times height. Okay, so the only difference is this 1/3, because I cut some of my volume off, because I'm just coming to a tip, right? All this side stuff would be cut away. So looking at an example, volume equals 1/3 times length times width times height. 1/3 times my length is 32, my width is 14, and my height's going straight up and down, and it's 60. Now again, I can just type all of these in my calculator. 1 divided by 3 times, I don't remember the numbers, 32 times 14 times 60. And I get 8,960. Right? And this doesn't have units, so we'll say units cubed, whatever that unit may be. Be careful, since there is this 1/3 here, you might get a fraction for your answer. And that is more than okay. Okay, don't be afraid of a fraction. Alright, let's look at our next example, or our next shape. Our next shape is a cone. Okay, so think of like an ice cream cone. So again, just like the cylinder, be careful if it gets knocked over on its side. The height is still this part here, just like it's this part here. Okay. Just like the pyramid, the cone has a very similar volume to that of the cylinder. It's 1/3 of the cylinder. Right? Pi r squared times height. Because again, all this stuff over here got cut away. Nothing's there anymore, right? Where the cylinder went straight up here. Okay, so we lost some of our volume. We're only taking a third of it. So if we look at our example, volume equals 1/3 pi r squared times h. My radius here is 11. I do not have to cut it in half for this one. And then my height is 21. So again, I'm typing everything except my pi into my calculator. Oops. Come back. So 1/3 times 11 squared times 21. Okay. And we get 847. Oops. Don't forget your pi. And then this is just units cubed. All right, one last shape is a sphere or a ball, right? Move up. Thank you. So the volume of a sphere, it's the weirdest one. The volume of a sphere is just 4/3 pi r cubed. So 4/3 pi r cubed. So if I look at example 8, so 4/3 pi. Now I gotta think what our r is. It's 14, right? It's half of it. So if I type this in my calculator, I have 4/3 times 14 cubed, right? And this is why I was talking about you might get a fraction, and that's okay. So this is 10,976. Thirds, bring that pi down, centimeters cubed. You can also write it as the decimal. If you're using our calculators, in order to convert to a decimal, you go to Menu, Number, Convert to Decimal. I don't know why it didn't do it. Menu, Number, Convert to Decimal. What are you doing? I don't know why it was being strange. So I get 3,658.67 pi. Okay. So either of these is fine. This top one's a little more exact, but that's okay. All right, that is it. I'll see you guys tomorrow.